Hey, Jared Kelly here from Vinoshares. Let's talk today about the Judgement of Paris and why it was so important to wine culture. To start, it put California on the map. It made it a designation known around the world for its fine wines. The Paris wine tasting of 1976, or as it's more commonly known as the Judgement of Paris, was a competition with two blind tastings led by Steven Spurrier. One tasting pitted California Chardonnays versus French Burgundies, whereas the other competition was between French Bordeaux wines and California Cabernet Sauvignon. At this time in the world, France was the standard for high-end winemaking. Grand Crus were the best of the best, and if you could see that on a label, you would expect a high-quality wine. Everyone expected that France was a shoo-in for this competition. However, they were beaten by California in both categories. Stag's Leap was on top for all of the reds, and for the whites, rated the highest was Chateau Montelena. French leaders in the industry were mortified. Back in the States, the Times published these details and knocked France down a few pegs in the overall perception of their wine and feeling of superiority. French industry leaders actually banned Steven Spurrier for tastings for a year as recompense for the damage that was dealt. But is this story inevitable in terms of France's complacency at the time? While California was innovating and creating better viticultural practices, France was coasting by on tradition and habit. Robert Mondavi was one of the greatest pioneers of the Napa Valley. Along with many other producers, he had been a part of the Napa Valley Technical Group that aimed to improve wine quality through choosing only the best grapes in the yield, time management in the harvesting, and improved fermentation practices. At this time, many producers were starting to understand the importance of using oak for fermentation for their reds and some of their whites. Though one of Mondavi's greatest contributions to winemaking was the use of cold fermentation in stainless steel tanks for many different whites. These constant innovations and changes by California were what allowed them to rise to the top and beat the prestige of France. The world of wine changed that day and gave others the reason to believe that they could make fine wine no matter where they are. Wineries started to pop up at much greater rates in California, Oregon, Washington, and all over the world in places like South Africa, Australia, and Argentina. That's because the judgment showed that there is no perfect wine region. With so many factors in the winemaking process, from the terroir to aging practices, any region can produce a fine wine that can someday usurp the throne. Cheers. Enjoy content like this? Make sure to like our Facebook page and sign up for your own Vinoshares account at vinoshares.com. There you can check out our marketplace, our clubs, and so much more. We'll be seeing you there. Cheers.